That is what stock exchanges sounded like over a decade ago, with organized and chaotic outcry and hand signals with brokers making to make the bet that pays the most. Well, today, if the SME Stock Exchange could talk or have a soundtrack, this is what it would sound like.
2 का 5, 2 का 5, 3 का 6, 3 का 6,
4 का 8, 4 का 8,
5 का 10, 5 का 10, 5 का 10, 10 का 20, 10 का 20.
The BSE SME IPO index has seen over a 2,300% rise in the last 3 years, and the market has just been flooded. In the last 6 months, over 93 SMEs have come up with IPOs. That's one every odd day. In fact, in the past 21 trading days of September, 36 IPOs were up for grabs, while 10 are open even as I record this. And the demand will astound you. 1/3 of the IPOs have had oversubscription of over 100 times. A company that was looking to raise just 23 crores got a demand worth 10,000 crores. And those who got a piece of the pie laughed to the bank. SME stocks such as Bombay Metrics, Salsar Exterior, Gold Star Power have given returns of over 1,200, 600 and 500%. And as Remo Fernandez eloquently put it, but this song and dance has caught the regulator's eye. SEBI has upped the surveillance and added brakes to the neck-breaking rally. But is it all speculation, or is there an SME story that needs a better spotlight? Is it a case of low volumes and dizzying demand, or a classic case of circular trading? Is surveillance really a solution, or is there a need for an overhaul of regulation, including a relook at the decade-old lot system, which may be creating more FOMO and scarcity? ET Markets' Nikhil Agarwal sheds some light.
We have seen in many cases that suddenly the demand starts picking up on the third day. When the GMP starts picking up, the number of subscription, it's typical chicken and egg situation. The IPO recently came, which was Chawda Infra. Morgan Stanley picked a stake in that. It's an SME IPO. Last year in December, we saw Dronachari Ariel. The pre-IPO investors were, even Bollywood stars, Amir Khan and Ranbir Kapoor.
And TMB co-host Kiran Somvanshi will join me as we get answers from an SME merchant banker, Ashok Khulani, in a tell-all conversation.
इसमें बहुत सारे इन्वेस्टर्स आ गए हैं जो पहले नहीं थे. पहले हम एक आईपीओ करते थे तो उसमें 7-8 हजार एप्लीकेशन आती थी उस आईपीओ को सब्सक्रिप्शन कराने के लिए. आज हम आईपीओ करते हैं तो 1-1 लाख एप्लीकेशन आ जाती. एक ऐसे भी इन्वेस्टर को 3,000 का लॉट मिला. एक ही लॉट 3,000 का मिलता है. मैं यहाँ पे 3,000, 2,000, 1,600 ऐसे करके लॉट होते हैं. उसमें 10 रुपए बढ़ गया. 3,000 इंटू 10 कितना होगा? 30,000. और वहां 200 में बढ़ा दो आप तो 4,000 बचा. तो वहां उसको 4,000 में मिल रहे हैं या उसको 30,000 मिल रहे हैं.
It's September 29th from the Economic Times. I'm your host Anupriya Nair and you're listening to the SME Sizzle. Burnout or bright spot on the Morning Brief. Come October, the SME segment will have SEBI's spotlight on it. The market regulator has extended the short-term additional surveillance measure and trade-for-trade settlement framework that now puts a restriction on how fast you can buy and sell these SME stocks. These scripts will also attract a higher rate of margin. How rapid has this rise been, and who are these investors who are reaping the benefits of what is the 10 ka 20 unset scheme on the SME platform? I turn to ET Markets' Nikhil Agarwal. Nikhil, welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you, Rupiya.
Nikhil, two of these platforms that we've been looking at, which is the NSE Emerge as well as the BSE SME Index in particular, if you could just give us a flavor of what are the returns one has been seeing compared to, say, a small cap or a mid cap on the main board, because even the mid cap rally on the main board has been quite furious. I think Kotak called it the mad cap rally, but how does it compare to that?
See, if you want to do an apple-to-apple comparison, as far as the index is concerned, there is no such proper indexes available as far as SME is concerned. SME versus small cap or mid cap is concerned. But just to give you a flavor of it, the Nifty small cap index is up around 30% in this calendar year so far. Now, a number of micro cap stocks, which is listed on the main board, as well as penny stocks have gone up like multiple times. It happens every year. There's nothing new about it. But what is interesting, what is different this time is that SME stocks have also gone up like 10 to 14 times. But just to give you a flavor of what's happening in the SME IPO market, since 2021, the BSE SME IPO index is up around 2,380%, which comes to a CAGR of 224%. Even this year, it has doubled money. So we did a study of how the SME IPOs have performed in this calendar year so far. The average return is something you won't believe is 80%, which means that if you've invested in all the IPO, you would have easily made 80% returns if you held till date, at least 80%, right? Around 130 to 140 IPOs have listed so far. 40 of them have turned multi-baggers.
So this is not a pop and burst sort of a situation. You're saying that the returns have continued beyond the listing gains as well, Nikhil.
Exactly. See, listing gain is following GMP. GMP is nothing but grey market premium, but it is surprisingly done well. The standard yardstick for an SME retail investor is they look at the GMP and they'll say if the GMP is above 100% or nearing 100%, 70, 80%, then I'll bid more and maybe go for the HNI category. And if the GMP is 20, 30%, chalo, theek hai, I'll invest, but may not invest more into it. So therefore, the subscriptions are low. If you see the GMPs, it's freely available on number of websites. I don't know how authentic the data is, how they're getting the data from, and who is controlling this gray market. But the numbers are mind-boggling.
What is the usual price band that you're looking at?
I'll give you the example of Basilic Fly Studio, which gave a return of more than 200% on listing day itself. And Sun Garner Energies, which is into renewable energies, it's a manufacturer, the stock did 3 times, on the listing day itself. So you can just imagine what kind of returns we're talking about over here. And we've spoken to a number of investors who say that they have actually started shifting a part of their blue chip portfolio to a large part rather of the blue chip portfolio to these SME stocks.
That was my next question on the profile of investors that we're looking at who are investing into the SMEs, because there is not too much freely available data for a lot of these companies as they are smaller, they are maybe B2B as well. What is the complexion of investors that we're talking about? Because I think the big question is it just circular trading at this point?
No, I would disagree to that. I don't think most of it is circular trading. I'll give you an example. Other day, a neighbor caught me. She's a housewife in the lift and she talked only about SME IPOs and she has been investing. See, a number of people who tasted blood during the COVID, they made multi-bagger returns. They invested in any stock and they doubled. And when the rally slowed down, when it reached a peak, you can't make much more return. Like, an 18 lakh crore Reliance Industries stock will not become 10x in 5 years, right? It's highly unlikely because of the sheer market cap size, right? Now, all these people, the youngsters, even retired people, so it's easy for them to invest. I'll just give an example. The IPO recently came, which was Chawla Infra. Morgan Stanley picked a stake in that. It's an SME IPO. In December, we saw Dronachari Ariel. The pre-IPO investors were, even Bollywood stars, Amir Khan and Ranbir Kapoor.
But the subscription numbers and the kind of demand they are getting are sort of representing that this is a new kind of FOMO for SME almost that's coming up.
We have seen in many cases that suddenly the demand starts picking up on the third day. When the GMP starts picking up, the number of subscription, it's typical chicken and egg situation. GMP picks up and then more people start investing. Then the subscription number goes up. And then seeing that the subscription has crossed 100 times, more people start investing and then it goes up to 200. So it went up to 444 times for Madhusudan Masala. Basilic Fly Studio IPO was just a 66 crore IPO. It's a VFX studio which works for Hollywood films. And 14,000 crore of application money went into that IPO. Similarly, over 100 times subscription was seen in Oriana Power, Hybrid Carbon, Drone Destination, and all of them have become multi-baggers.
What about the volumes? A lot of times when we talk on the main board and we talk about penny stocks or stocks where there has been a questionable move on the returns, one automatically starts to look at how thinly traded that market is or who's controlling it. In this case, there are restricted number of investors, which is obviously growing very fast. But what would your understanding be of the volumes in this market at this point?
Yes, Anupam, that's a good point. That's what nobody's talking about it. The volume's very thin. In some cases, we might be seeing circular trading. We might be seeing some kind of manipulation going on. We don't know because you have to invest in lot sizes, which is the biggest problem out there. So liquidity is a big issue. just a few HNIs might be holding a big chunk of the shares. So the free float might actually be 2%, 3%, 5%, 10% in some cases. So therefore, the stock price can go up further. But that could be a sign of bubble as well. We don't know yet.
In 2010, when SEBI opened the doors for SMEs to list, the rules and hoops were obviously made easier to let the SMEs get some steam as they got access to cheaper funds. For example, SME IPOs are cleared by the stock exchanges and not by the market regulator SEBI. They also only require 50 allottees or investors versus a requirement of a minimum 1,000 on the main board. The IPO is also allotted in bigger blocks, so your minimum investment in a mainstream IPO is about 13 to 15,000 rupees. But in the SME segment, the regulation imposed a decade ago mandated the minimum lot size of 1 lakh rupees. This had good intention, while it was to avoid retail rush in a lighter regulated market. But that value has obviously lost its meaning. My colleague Kiran Somvanshi, who you hear from quite often on the Morning Brief, pores over IPO filings and has reported on the mainstream listings for years. But this time, she turned her focus onto SMEs to help us understand more about the companies in question. Kiran, what did you gather?
So, Anupra, these companies getting listed on the SME platform of the exchanges typically are very small family-run businesses that could be around 5 to 10 years old, and they may be making a couple of crores in profit. In several cases, the companies form part of the unorganized industries with significant competition. So, making it a high-volume, low-margin kind of a business for them. They may have a history of negative cash flows, may not have ownership of much of intellectual property rights of their business. So they may not have trademarks that show the brand of their business, or they may not be owning the patents of their services. So a very small business as such. There may even be conflict of interest, of the promoter family in the businesses run by them. These companies typically come to the capital markets on the promise of better access to funding and the opportunity to increase the visibility of their business and also to become better governed. So, when I looked at the red herring prospectuses of these IPO documents of some of the top gainers of the SME segment, I could see all these factors playing out. For instance, the company Bombay Metrics Supply Chain was essentially a one customer company. It exported services to the single customer they had in the US. Then there was another company, Salazar Exteriors and Contours. Now that's engaged in interior and exterior building work in Mumbai. But again, its predominantly business base is Mumbai. So a very regional, city-centric kind of a company. Then there is Gold Star Power. It's a Jamnagar-based battery manufacturing company that earns half of its business from Amara batteries. So, there are these players, Amara and Exide. So, predominant players in the battery manufacturing, and that one player, if you're supplying to, then obviously predominant revenues are coming from there. Interestingly, many of them wrote all their numbers in the RHP in rupees, just rupees. So, one had to actually look at the numbers and take time to calculate whether it's in lakhs or crores, because just to show that, they earn a lot. So instead of, typical nomenclature for most companies is crores or millions, then these companies would typically have it in lakhs or just the absolute numbers. The other thing was, the object of all their IPOs, what they have listed in their RHP is that was to meet their working capital requirements. So that was predominantly the main objective for all of them in floating that IPO.
What about compliance, Kiran? That's something you look at very closely. We know post-listing, the disclosure norms and reportings are far more lenient. But even before the listing, the road is far smoother for the SMEs.
In terms of compliance, the procedure is largely similar with the IPOs of the main board. So they have the similar kind of, the format of RHP is same, the disclosures are predominantly same. Even what they have to do exactly, the procedure, go to the iBanker. The iBanker will, make you IPO ready, get your documents in place, and those documents have to be filed to the exchange. Exchange will do that vetting. But there is a difference here in the sense that the main difference being in case of SMEs, their documents are vetted by the stock exchanges where they are getting listed rather than the market regulator SEBI. Now, other important part of the SME IPOs is the role of the merchant banker. The role of the merchant banker is more critical in case of SME IPOs compared to the main board IPOs. The reason being, right from the start, they come into the picture, like they have to scout for these right-sized, good so-called IPO-ready SME players that are willing to go for the listing and all the procedures. And these bankers handhold them to make them kind of stock market ready in terms of, having documents in place, having a business model, clean business model, which sells with the investors, and also the entire disclosure part of it, that the governance, the bringing out the risk factors and all of it. So, there are around 200 registered investment bankers in India. And from what I understand, only around 25 are engaged in merchant banking for the SMEs. So these merchant bankers, have to underwrite the whole issue and have also been mandated to facilitate market making for 3 years post the IPO to ensure liquidity for the investors of these SME stocks. So as I was saying, the role of the merchant bankers, it's more comprehensive and it also is lasting longer post the IPO.
So the buck stops with the merchant banker, and that's where we shifted our focus. Kiran and I sat down with Ashok Holani, a merchant banker who hails from Jaipur and has a focus on SME listings. In fact, one of his IPOs was open and subscribed 30 times as we recorded this interview.
So thank you, Mr. Holani. Thank you for joining in on the Morning Brief.
Thank you so much for calling me.
So, sir, there's so much happening. You already have an IPO going on today in the SME space. We want to understand this space a little deeper in the sense that, can you tell us how big is this SME space? Who are the merchant bankers? What is a typical profile of an SME, generally to start off?
So first of all, let me introduce myself to you and all your viewers. Myself, Ashok Holani, Director, Holani Consultants Private Limited. We are a Cat 1 registered SEBI merchant banker. Along with that merchant banker, we are also the member of NSE. We are also a member of BSE also. So we run a stockbroking also, we run an investment banking at the same time. So myself, a chartered accountant, we started this investment banking in 2018. And since then, we are doing this particular business.
So how has it been since 2018?
It has been a roller coaster ride. We started when there was no takers for the SME IPOs in the market. I remember that those were days when we have to run for a single application to find a retail investor to invest the 1 lakh or 1.25 lakhs. But nowadays the situation has changed. So many attraction is there. Every IPO, even done by me or by some other merchant banker, is selling through with a very high subscription numbers. Earlier we used to manage to get one-time subscription, but nowadays 200, 300, 100 subscription is coming in every other IPO.
Right. So here, I just wanted to get some background clear in the sense that what is a typical SME which is eligible for coming and listing in this platform?
So look, SME is a very niche segment in which a company can list which has a vintage of 3 years of incorporation and doing business.
Okay.
First condition is it has to be 3-year-old company. Secondly, the main condition is the post IPO, the paid up share capital of the company should not exceed 25 crore rupees. These are the two major conditions. The third one is a general condition which is applicable for every company, for mainboard IPO or SME IPO. That you should not be a fraudulent borrower. You should not be a defaulter. You should not have done anything wrong in the capital market so that SEBI has banned you from that. These are the conditions.
And profit making, not necessary.
You should be only earning an operating profit.
And net worth should be positive.
Obviously, when anybody wants to list, it's positive to Hogira. And if you go for a mainboard IPO, their criteria is 15 crore operating profit. Or rather, you don't have the operating profit, then you have to ensure that 75% of your offering should go to the QIBs. And only the 25% shall be distributed among the HNIs and the retail.
Now, coming to the average profile of such companies, what are the today's SMEs like, which are the listing ones? What is the typical profile of an SME?
I have seen SME grown from so many years. Nowadays, the companies which are coming for listing in last 1.5 years, I've seen the companies who are coming on having net profit of 3 crore plus, who are coming to get listed. And the major attraction which SME is getting is because of these companies. These are good companies. They are earning a handsome amount of profit, 3 crore, 2 crore or 5 crore profits. So people are interested in investing in these companies. That's why there is a traction. The people are coming up. They are investing in the SME market. or certain beautiful stories are coming up. Like I share one story. I did one IPO in the name of Network People Technologies.
What is it about?
It is into the digital payments. So when we did IPO, they were providing fintech solution to the Canara Bank, and they were building certain particular app similar to the MyKit app. In the course of the IPO or a few days back, so they got the license from NPCI for TPAP, third party application app, UPI. So when they got that license, they were the smallest company which has got this particular license. At least when you see that Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, Movic, all sorts of companies are there. This was the only company which was listed and has a market cap of 44 crores. IPO got subscribed around 7 to 8 times only. So once they got this license, they got the money from the IPO, they started building up their UPI app and everything. Now since 2 years back, when I see their balance sheet, they did IPO 13 crore only. Now they have a cash balance of 25 crore in their balance sheet.
So is such a story an exception or is such a story?
स्टोरी में ये देखिए 80 रुपीज में उसका शेयर आया था. जब कंपनी ने परफॉर्म चालू करा तो इन्वेस्टर भी उसको इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए आए. उसका आज शेयर हो गया 1400 रुपए का.
But we have seen certain stocks going like really berserk, 1200%, 1300%, 1000% going up in the last some few months. So what explains that? ये जो manipulation है, या can we be calling it manipulation? आप कैसे देखते हैं इसे?
देखिए मैम, किसी स्टॉक प्राइस बढ़ रहा है तो अपने आप तो नहीं बढ़ता है. वी ऑल आर इन्फॉर्म इन्वेस्टर्स. उसके सारे डेटा पब्लिक होते हैं, सारी बैलेंस शीट स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के पोर्टल पे अवेलेबल होती है फॉर एनीबॉडी टू रीड. द नंबर्स आर देयर. इफ देयर नंबर्स आर सपोर्टिंग देयर वैल्यू, देन तो उसकी प्राइस बढ़ना लाजमी है. बट अगर मान लीजिए कंपनी लॉस करी और उसकी प्राइस बढ़ रही है, तब मैं आपकी बात समझ सकता हूँ कि उसको प्राइस रीक हुआ है या मैनिपुलेशन है. बट एवरी कंपनी इज नॉट ए मैनिपुलेशन. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दिस. ऐसा नहीं होता कि हर कंपनी स्टॉक बढ़ाता है. उसकी वैल्यू का एनालिसिस देखेंगे तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि इसकी वैल्यू थी या ऐसे ही बढ़ रहा है.
What kind of investors are there? Like, are there predominantly HNIs? Are they predominantly retail investors who are part of this SME market?
बेसिकली जो ही ग्रोथ आई है एसएमई के स्टॉक्स के अंदर, मैं दो बातें बोलूंगा इसके अंदर. एक तो मैं मानता हूं कंपनी ने परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी करी है. दूसरा मैं मानता हूं इसमें बहुत सारे इन्वेस्टर्स आ गए हैं जो पहले नहीं थे. पहले हम एक आईपीओ करते थे तो उसमें 7-8 हजार एप्लीकेशन आती थी उस आईपीओ को सब्सक्रिप्शन कराने के लिए. आज हम आईपीओ करते हैं तो 1-1 लाख एप्लीकेशन आ जाती है. आप देखिए 5,000 से जो इन्वेस्टर्स थे वो 1 लाख तक लोग लगाने लग गए. 1 लाख नंबर ऑफ पर्सन आर इन्वेस्टिंग. जनरली आप एसएमई आईपीओ देखेंगे, एवरेज टिकट साइज इज 20 करोड़ रुपीस. उस 20 करोड़ के अंदर अगर उसको नॉर्मल स्ट्रक्चर में करा है तो 35% रिटेल के लिए होता है. तो 35% करेंगे तो ये 7.5-8 करोड़ का रिटेल का कंपोनेंट होता है इसके अंदर. हमारे रेगुलेटर एक्सचेंज ने मतलब एनएससी या बीएससी ने प्राइस के हिसाब से उसका लॉट डिटरमाइन करा हुआ है. नेट से कोई आईपीओ आपका 30 रुपए से 40 रुपए की रेंज में आता है तो उसकी लॉट बनता है 3,000 शेयर का. अब कोई 6.5 करोड़ का रिटेल कंपोनेंट है उसके पास और 3,000 का लॉट है तो तकरीबन 500-600 उसमें अलॉटमेंट लॉट आएंगे. 600 लॉट ही अवेलेबल है फॉर सेल और उस 600 लॉट को लेने के लिए 1 लाख एप्लीकेशन आ गई है. तो इसका मतलब हो गया 9,99,900. तो वो लोग लेने आते हैं रिटेल वाले लिस्टिंग के ऊपर. है किसका? 500 लोगों के पास. मान लीजिए 99,000 लोगों ने एप्लीकेशन लगा दी, उनको नहीं मिला. उसमें से आधे लोग तो लेने नहीं आएंगे, बहुत कम नहीं लेंगे, हमको हाइप में मिलता हम ले लेते हैं. 50,000, 20,000, 10,000 लोग लेने आ जाते हैं. लेने वाले 10,000 है, 5,000 है और बेचने वाले 500 है. तो बताइए प्राइस बढ़ेगा या घटेगा? अब इसको बोल कैसे मैनिपुलेशन बोल सकते हैं?
Yeah, you're right in that way, but I'm saying are these opportunistic investors कि मतलब जो मार्केट है अभी अच्छा है इसलिए आ गए हैं, बाद में डिसअपियर हो जाएंगे. मतलब I'm just wondering कि
बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन्वेस्टर भी होते हैं जो केवल कुछ स्टॉक की प्राइस बढ़ रही है तो वो लेने आ जाते हैं. और दूसरा क्या होता है, इसमें ज्यादा लोग क्यों आते हैं मैडम? मेन बोर्ड में 14,000 की एप्लीकेशन होती है तो आपको कितने शेयर मिलते हैं मैम? 100, 150, 200 शेयर. अब उसकी 100 रुपए की प्राइस बढ़ भी गई तो आपको कितना मुनाफा हुआ? 100-200 शेयर थे, 100 रुपए से मुनाफा कितना हुआ? आपके 2,000 बढ़ गए. अब मेरे एक ऐसे भी इन्वेस्टर को 3,000 का लॉट मिला. एक ही लॉट 3,000 का मिलता है मैम. यहाँ पे 3,000 मिलेगा, नहीं तो कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. 3,000 ही मिलता है फिक्स. 3,000, 2,000, 1,600 ऐसे करके लॉट होते हैं. उसमें 10 रुपए बढ़ गया, केवल 10 रुपए बढ़ा तो 20,000, 3,000 × 10 कितना होगा? 30,000. और वहां 200 पे 100 बढ़ गया है तो 200 पे बढ़ा दो आप तो 4,000 बचा, तो वहां उसको 4,000 में मिल रहे हैं या उसको 30,000 मिल रहे हैं। तो आप मुझे बताइए, आप कहाँ पे पैसा डालेंगे? एसएमई में डालेंगे, मेन बोर्ड?
But then what do you think? Should SEBI intervene to the extent that ये lot size का ये change करना चाहिए उन्होंने?
सारे मर्चेंट बैंकर चाहते हैं कि एसएमई में सब कुछ सेम है। हम सारा आईसीडीआर का प्रोसेस फॉलो करते हैं जो सीबी ने बताया है। एनएससी की टीम या बीएससी की टीम उसको पूरा थॉरो रिव्यू करती है, फिर हमको अप्रूवल देती है। हमसे 50 क्वेश्चंस करते हैं आईपीओ खोलने से पहले। हमको जब तक सेटिस्फाई नहीं करते वो अप्रूवल नहीं आती है। तो जब सारा प्रोसेस फॉलो करते हैं, देन ये लॉट का सिस्टम क्यों?
So bankers do feel that this should change.
बेसिकली क्यों बनाया गया था सेबी के द्वारा? सो दैट इस एसएमई सेगमेंट में हाई नेटवर्थ लोग जाए, जो लोग अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं। छोटे इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए इतना बड़ा कर दो कि वो लोग नहीं कर सके। बट इंडिया इतना ग्रो कर गया मैडम, पैसे की वैल्यू इतनी घट गई है, आजकल 1 लाख रुपए की कोई वैल्यू नहीं होती है। तो सब लोग ज्यादा पैसे डाल रहे हैं। या तो सेबी इसका लॉट साइज बढ़ाए, अगर इसको कंट्रोल करना है तो 1 लाख की जगह 2 लाख मिनिमम इन्वेस्टमेंट कर दे, 2.5 लाख कर दे, या फिर इसको खत्म कर दे।
Ashok ji, I just wanted to understand what is the process of scoping these SMEs who want to list? How do you scope these SMEs? Do they approach you? How do you scope some of these? Are these usually locals that you take on to get them to these platforms? What is the process, sir?
देखिए, प्रोसेस बहुत सिंपल है इसका। क्लाइंट्स अप्रोच अस फॉर देयर लिस्टिंग बिकॉज इंडिया में लिमिटेड सेट्स ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर्स है जो इसको करते हैं। Approximately, in my knowledge, around 20 to 25 merchant bankers are there who are doing this particular SME listing. और टोटल इंडिया में 200 लोग हैं, उसमें से अराउंड 10% लोग ही SME लिस्टिंग का काम कर रहे हैं। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, देयर इज अ लिमिटेड सप्लाई ऑफ द मर्चेंट बैंकर्स एंड देयर आर अनलिमिटेड कंपनीज हु वांट टू लिस्ट ऑन द SME एक्सचेंज। दूसरा, SME आईपीओ करने के लिए बॉम्बे की तो जरूरत नहीं होती है। एनीबडी कैन डू फ्रॉम एनीवेयर इटसेल्फ। आई हैव हिमसेल्फ डन 3 IPOs from Mumbai itself. A company from Mumbai has come to Jaipur and get listed. We have the standardized checklist with us. We visit the companies on a regular basis, understand their business model, understand their businesses, or interact with the auditors, legal, solicitor, lawyers. So get the sense of the company. We prepare the document and file that. Generally, process SME takes around 3 months or so. Their offer document prepared. It's only take 45 days from NSC or BSC to get the document clear. If they want to do, they have 45 days set for that. And once we get the approval, it takes 15 days or so. So it is very easy process. Whereas if we go for a SEBI, then we get a very bad step.
Sir, the role of the merchant banker is also vastly different in a SME IPO compared to a main board IPO as well, in terms of fee structure or even in terms of underwriting risk. As someone who takes these companies to the board, to the platform, as a merchant banker, the kind of underwriting risks you have to take, could you explain to our listeners how it's different? As you're saying, only 10% are doing this. How is it different than a main board risk?
In fact, it is harder to do a main board IPO and it is easier to do it as a main board IPO. It is easier to do a main board IPO and very risky to do an SME IPO.
So what are the risks involved?
Everything is risky here, madam. First of all, the company is a very small company, doesn't understand the corporate processes. We as a merchant banker have to handle that company, let them understand the company law, SEBI laws, and help them, guide them to prepare that document which are acceptable to us or to the regulators. So not only we take the document, we also guide them to how to prepare, how to provide the data to us. There are companies which are going on a corporate structure. They doesn't know about the corporate governance. We teach them how to corporate governance कैसी होती है, how to restructure their board of director, restructure their share capital, understand their businesses, understand their processes. So we have to not only do the work, teach them also on how to conduct that company. And after getting them listed, we have to handle these companies for 3 years. We have to do compulsory market making for them for 3 years and constantly evaluate their performances, their results, and we have to file them on the stock exchange, help them to assist the comply the NSC or BSC compliance requirements. And secondly, when we do an SME IPO, we have to underwrite that issue by 100%. First of all, nobody knows that company. We underwrite on them. Like say, I have taken an IPO of 30 crores and I have to give a narrative of 30 crore rupees. If that has to be, if it doesn't sell out, then I have to pay him 30 crore.
So you have far more skin in the game, right?
Every investor has to shell out 2 lakh rupees to become a shareholder in that company. In Mainwood IPO, only 14,000 is required. For this, you need 2 lakh rupees. Everybody knows a Paytm or Zomato, big companies are there. Nobody knows these small companies. So we have to create a market also. We have to do the marketing, let them understand also.
So that's what I want to come to next, Mr. Ashok, is about the marketing that you create. How do you go about creating knowledge about that? What are roadshows like an SME IPO? Who do you contact? What is the general QIB clientele that you, because that clientele is also very different from a main board QIP clientele as well, I would assume. You were giving us some example of 1.5 साल पहले आपका IPO जो आया था, उसमें किस complexion के investors थे और अब जो complexion के investors हैं. How do you market these IPOs? What is the sort of general audience that you appeal to?
Then we cannot reach to everybody investors. Like I said to Kiran, nowadays 1 lakh investors are applying in the SME IPO. I cannot reach to 1 lakh persons right at a time. We only reach out to 200, 300, 500 person or 1,000 person. But it's a spontaneous organic growth which is coming into the market. Let's say we target one particular person. I know that this person invests into the stock market. We go to them. We understand that, let them understand this company. Let the promoter go with them and understand their company. If they have any query, we help them to solve that query. So we only go to limited sets of persons. But since IPOs are doing good, if the company is good, then data is available on NSE or the BSE website. So people see them and invest accordingly.
What is your fee structure like? Because, I just remember that it is, I'm sure you said talked about risk. So higher risk means higher returns for you, right? How is your fee structure like?
It depends upon company to company basis. The amount, the effort we are putting into that depends upon that. The fee is bifurcated into two aspects. One is the professional fees, which we help them to handle that company, get them prepare the offer document, comply with them, interact with the NSEs or the BSEs to get they take very sold and get them listed, help them in listing the process, doing the post-act compliances. So one part is this particular thing, which we charge as a consolidated fee, which depends upon company to company. And another aspect which we charge from that is underwriting fee. So we are taking a risk of subscribing that particular IPO. That's a 20 crore IPO, 30 crore IPO. So we charge underwriting fee over that.
So is it a percentage of the amount raised?
Underwriting is on a percentage basis and the professional fee is on a lump sum fixed basis.
So I want to just go back to market making for a second, Ashokji. The role of social media, because now you do have the ability as the market is growing bigger, the ability to reach to far more number of interested parties and the industry parties. Are merchant bankers also using social media as a big tool? Because I was looking on YouTube, I was looking on Instagram. There's a lot more chatter. Obviously, market बढ़ रहा है तो बात करेंगे ये लोग, उनका भी subscriber बढ़ता है. But do you use social media as a dispensing or information dispensing at?
Not a single merchant banker is allowed to go on the social media, advertise about the company. The videos which are coming on the YouTube are spontaneous. They themselves are preparing YouTubers, and no company or a merchant banker goes to them to prepare an IPO. When you read so many videos are coming up for an IPO, they are giving anything information. They doesn't go read about that particular document which is available. Whatever जो उनको समझ में आता है वो कुछ भी छाप देते. If we have to follow that entire whatever we have written in the RHP, that only can be reproduced among the investors, and that too in entirety, not in the specific parts. Yeah, I can give the good points to the investor and hide away the risk factors. It is not allowed. So in YouTube, we do on their own basis. Nobody has an interest to get marketed in themselves.
So before we wrap up, sir, I just want to understand between the last 48 hours, as the spotlight has come on to SME, in your conversation with other merchant bankers, with high net worth individuals, with companies, has it changed the mood at all at this point? Because I know that we've tried to reach out some of the market participants and they have been a little wary of talking. Merchant bankers, thankfully, have not. So it kind of gives us the confidence that, one part of the market is delivering its... पर आपकी कॉन्वर्सेशन में कुछ बदला है सर पिछले 40-50 घंटों में?
I'm bullish on the SME market. We believe on the story itself. Good companies are coming. We are ensuring that good companies we take as a mandate for getting them listed and get listed then. These are the measures taken by the SEBI or NSE or BSE for good of the market. So we have to abide them and follow them rigorously. If a good company is there, then there is no need of NS, ESM, GSM, ST, GST. It will grow up. If it's a bad company, then obviously nobody will invest.
So nobody is scared still. Nobody is thinking कि investigation आएगा, थोड़ा मतलब secure वो बढ़ेगा, surveillance बढ़ेगा.
गलत करेगा, गलत काम से प्राइस को जैकअप करेगा तो वो तो गलत ही रहेगा. उसको डंडा ही चाहिए. ये हो या नहीं हो. रेगुलेटर बहुत करता ही है, रोज कर रहा है. वो पहले भी करता था, अभी भी कर रहा है.
True.
How do you read this SEBI's move? आपको लगता है कि SEBI ने जो किया वो टाइमली था या और भी कुछ कर सकते थे या ये नहीं करके कुछ और करना चाहिए था? Any thoughts there?
नहीं चाहिए था, ये अच्छी बात है. अगर किसी चीज में अनएक्सेप्शनल प्राइस गेन आ रहा है तो उसको कंट्रोल करने के जो मेजर्स दिए वो ये दिए. उन्होंने क्या किया है कि उसका सर्किट फिल्टर को चेंज हो जाएगा या उसमें स्पेकुलेशन एंट्री नहीं रहेगी. आप पहले दिन बेचा उसी दिन खरीद लिया, आप वो मैनिपुलेट नहीं कर सकते. उन्होंने ट्रेड टू ट्रेड का मतलब क्या होता है? ट्रांजेक्शन डिलीवरी से सेटल होगा. मतलब अगर आपने आज बेचा है तो आज आप नहीं खरीद सकते हैं, आपको कल खरीदना पड़ेगा, परसों खरीदना पड़ेगा. तो ये पहले भी चलता था ट्रेड टू ट्रेड और अभी भी चल रहा है. तो उसमें कोई नया चीज नहीं करा गया है. पहले भी सर्किट फिल्टर, पहले स्टॉक जब लिस्ट होता है मैडम 20% सर्किट पे लिस्ट होता है. अगर उसमें ज्यादा मूवमेंट आता है तो वो 10% एक्सचेंज ऑलरेडी कर देती है उसको. अगर वहां भी ज्यादा आता है तो उसको 5% कर देती है. अब 5 से उसको 2 भी कर देंगे तो ये क्या होगा? उसकी प्राइस मूवमेंट में उसको ब्रेकर लगा दिया जाएगा कि वो रोज इतना ही बढ़ सकता है, इतना ही घट सकता है.
बट कुछ और कर सकते थे इसके अलावा? और कुछ करने का स्कोप है?
हम देखिए अभी तक तो ये पहले एसएमई में मेन बोर्ड में होता था, एसएमई में भी होता ही था. तो ऐसा कोई नया कुछ नहीं करा है, केवल उसको रिग्रेसली फॉलो करने वाले. तो मुझे बताइए क्या मैंने मेन बोर्ड में तो ये सारे मेजर्स है ही ना मैडम. तो पेनी स्टॉक तो मेन बोर्ड में लिस्ट होते हैं, स्मॉल कैप मेन बोर्ड में ही होता है. तो भी वो शेयर चलता ही है ना. सारे जो स्कैम्स अभी तक आए हैं, जो भी आपने देखे होंगे या आपने सुना होगा, वो सब मेन बोर्ड की कंपनीज थी मैडम, एसएमई कंपनी नहीं है. तो वहां पे तो सारे पहले से लगे हुए थे, ये नियम तो पहले ही लगे हुए थे ना, फिर भी ऐसा हुआ. बट अगर कंपनी अच्छी है तो कंपनी चाहे बढ़ेगी, चाहे एसएमई में हो चाहे मेन बोर्ड में हो. कंपनी खराब है तो चाहे स्मॉल कैप हो चाहे एसएमई हो, उसके साथ ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. तो ये मूव सही है, प्रोवाइडेड सही कंपनियों पे इसका एप्लीकेशन हो.
The street is divided from the fascination of finding the next big thing versus getting trapped in the trenches of holding a dud stock with no volumes in sight. What is undisputed is the demand and the chatter, which is now loud enough to reach the doorsteps of the regulator, who may have to relook at the regulation and requirements all over again. From 2010 to 2023, the SME ecosystem has surely evolved leaps and bounds, but the platform has not. The limitations on lot size to the regulatory requirements for an IPO approval. The entire rule book may need a rewrite. This may be the first time, but I'm sure far from the last, that we hear about the sizzling SME stocks. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of The Morning Brief from your host, Anupriya Nair, and the team that put this together. Vinay Joshi on production and Rajas Nayak on the sound magic. Thank you for listening in and have a great long weekend. Catch us on your favorite podcast platform on Tuesday again as we kickstart October with Nitin Kamath of Zero Dha. You don't want to miss it.